Hey there, folks. Welcome to part 2 of our episode featuring Thad and Gayle Montgomery of Melvins Farm to Fork. Jonah Deborde and Chris Montgomery. We had a blast hanging out for this show. If you hadn't listened to our other show featuring the Appalachian Farmers, it also featured Thad and Chris and Amos Denton. Go back and listen to that one. It's from about a month or so ago. It's not very hard to find. You can find it on all your major apps, Spotify, Apple, all that kind of good stuff. Follow our Patreon users out there. We certainly appreciate you supporting us. For this episode, I know it's a little late now for you listening, but for all the other episodes that come out a little bit early, the ones we might end up splitting up, you can get the entire thing at patreon.com/getontap. For only $3 a month, you get all the episodes in their entirety. You get a little bit of subscriber content. We're building that as well. We have a few subscriber-only episodes out there, and we're trying to work on some more. So for anybody out there, and if for nothing else, you're supporting us, you're supporting local, you're helping the community, because we're taking this and we're reinvesting it right back in our community. It's not going anywhere else. It's not like, you're giving $3 a month to a Sam's Club membership where it's going to Bentonville, Arkansas, and the Walmart people. So we certainly appreciate every dollar. It really helps. It counts. You can go in there and make a one-time donation if you want to. You can donate more than $3 a month. We're going to try and continue to engage with our Patreons a whole lot more. Maybe make some special offers that only our subscribers get. So go ahead and check that out at patreon.com/getontap, and you can listen to all these episodes in their entirety before anybody else can get them. So as far as this episode is concerned, we had a blast with this. Part 2 has a lot of funny moments. It actually probably is a little bit funnier than part 1 because we were a few more drinks deep. So give it a listen. We certainly appreciate your time, and enjoy.
You were talking about
a mobile processing unit that's sitting idle right now in West Virginia. Billy, you claim to be the best CDL driver around. How good are you? Can you hook up to that thing in less than a minute?
Does a bear shit where he pleases? And you know what? And this is, at some point in time, I was going to segue into something I want to say to y'all about being a CDL driver, but continue and I'll get there here in a second. But absolutely. You give me the truck, I'll go up there. I don't care where you at. I'll go to the depths of hell with a tractor trailer. You can't send me nowhere I can't get nothing out of. And that's working for the company I work for, I'm telling you.
Can we borrow their truck?
We can find one. I know somebody that's got an operation with blue trucks all over the county. We can borrow one from.
Oh yeah,
I know.
I'm driving it. If we get his truck,
we're going to have to switch it up then.
I'm game. I am game.
One of the two.
I'm game.
He ain't no way in hell he's going to let us drive that pretty Peterbilt lowered and extend.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
He ain't got to know till it's back sitting in the lot. Huh?
What the eye don't see, the heart don't grieve over.
We'll send him up to the wood shop, put a couple liquor drinks in him, and you'll just head up to West Virginia.
We'd be like, Amos, look, man, this dude said he wanted to come up and hang out.
Hey, on the note of Amos, there's his Aunt Virginia May will bury us. She has to. I refuse to mention a lady's age 75. Out of respect.
No, you have to say it to put it in
you
context.
have to say it to put it in context.
You have to say it to put it in the context.
This lady's 75 years
She's
old.
A cricket score.
Still sleeps on a dirt floor.
On a hardwood floor.
She gets up every morning. She milks a cow. She collects eggs. And
she will throw hay bales.
And she will outwork.
That will bury us.
I have told this story many times on the show, and I'm going to tell it to you once again. It's only take me a couple of minutes.
She done 85 bales to y'all's 250
in no time at all. She threw them and stacked them on her own. While it took 4 of us to unload 180, she stacked. I think it was like 150, and she stacked and through 100. It was 80 in that same time frame. And I looked at Amos. I said, "How in the hell does a 50-year-old woman go out here and outwork 4 guys?" He looked at me with a straight face. She's 70. I said, "You're out of your mind." Them sinks. There is something to their DNA. There is something to their genetics. Mm-hmm. And Amos even said that here recently. He said he went down there and saw Dr. Boone, and Dr. Boone told him, he said, "I want to go and I'm going to do some research on the sync gene. There is something about y'all. I don't know what it is. He said, but
indestructible,
freaking destructible. But I mean I honestly think that's the German Baptist community in a whole, and their descendants as well.
But look at her lifestyle. She's drinking milk from a cow that she puts hands on daily, so she knows.
Never gone to a doctor.
She knows where she's getting her milk. She knows where she's getting her eggs. She knows where she's getting her beef, and you bet your ass she knows where her veggies is coming out of. Mm-hmm. They're coming out of her garden, her cow, her chicken, and it's all being raised right there on her on the farm. It don't get no more than local and fresh than that.
Yep, I agree 100%.
Every day, 7 days a week.
Now, and this is what we need to be striving for. Now, we've got Melvins Farm to Fork. We need to be promoting this and similar facilities.
It is our job to promote other local businesses that are doing the type of things that we do in this county. We are not each other's competition.
No, we're not unique. Don't be unique, okay? And I'm very conscious about saying that, because you've got Foggy Ridge, okay? They're coming up with a program for meat production and having access to local beef. Let's look. You know what? We've got a certain.
Did I send you that PDF?
There's a number of people within Franklin County that are looking to put a directory into operation that allows us access to people and operations that sell produce, meat, chickens, eggs. Let's look at to promote this on the show. Let's look to actively engage with these operations, because we've got to give these people and these operations some airtime, where we know that the residents of this great county can go and get away from Kroger, Food Line, Walmart. That's my primary drive in life right now.
That's the whole drive behind this show, and why it started was to promote local.
Exactly. And the GDP issue that you brought up, that was just genius, and you presented it just beautifully. We need to keep Franklin County dollars in Franklin County, and the way that we can do this is promoting the guys that are at grassroots with dirty hands. You know, let's look at milk shares, let's look at beef shares, whatever it may be. Let's support the producers of local produce and keep the dollars in Franklin County. How we do that? I think we're just going to spread the word.
Well, that's ultimately what it comes down to. And I've said this on the show before. I said, as far as the show is concerned, I spend a lot of money every single month. That's why I encourage people to come be a Patreon subscriber. And I know Jonah over here is one and comments quite a bit. I've been trying to get Simon. I need to get him on there just for the interaction as well, to grow that page, because I take that money and I reinvest it back into promoting this page, because every time we get on here, it's supporting local. But no matter how much money I spend on Facebook to do ads or this, word of mouth is the best way it goes.
Tune in.
It really
listen to what we've got to offer.
And that also, it kind of leads me into a segue here, where Chris was going a minute ago about the CDL and stuff, and this is going to take it off topic just for a minute, but I'm going to bring it right back, because this is something I really want to get into, and I think maybe Thad and Jonah specifically can take us down this path. But last week I showed up into work, and I've got a lot of seniority over there. I've been there for 5 years, and that probably shouldn't be a lot of seniority for the company that I work at, but our old boss has ran everybody and their cousin out of town. So
in this day and age?
Yeah. So my only request ever was to never get sent to West Virginia. I can't stand it. And it's not because I don't like West Virginia. It's because the GPS doesn't work. It's because the phones don't work. And every time I go up there, I think my license is in jeopardy, because you never know what kind of a snag you're going to get locked up in. Yep. So I get sent to West Virginia last week. I show up to work and man, I'm hot. I'm red. I look at my load and they're sending me with 50,000 pounds and a 53-foot trailer with a side skirt into Paint Bank, West Virginia.
Oh, fun.
And I'm going to go down Route 311 in that thing. I got to deliver to the fish hatchery down there. And my next stop is on a dairy farm in Gap Mills, West Virginia. And if you've ever been to West Virginia and Gap Mills, there ain't a lot of flat land in there. A 53-foot trailer with side skirt's got no business going up in there. But one of my stops in between was there in Paint Bank. And this is how you know the Lord works in mysterious ways. As mad as I was about that trip, I stopped that day and I had a delivery to this lady. And we sat there and spoke for a few minutes before I left. And I ended up walking away from that conversation saying, you know what, I was madder than hell coming up here today, but I'm glad it happened because I got to speak with her. And she was somebody that thought along the lines of we did. And ended up getting her email address, and we've actually been back and forth the last couple of days. And I sent her an email a couple of days ago. I said, hey, look, we're trying to throw together a show right here on nutrition and talking about GMOs and what the FDA is doing and what the government is doing to suppress local farmers and this and this and this. And shout out to her. I'll just call her the Circle Lady. And I'm hoping she's listening because I'm going to send her this show, so I know she will be. But a lot of the information she sent me to go on to bitshoot.com, which is a website that will give you a lot of information that YouTube will suppress. And I sit here and I start listening to a lot of things you were saying. And one of the videos I sat in here last night till 1 o'clock in the morning watching to get prepared for this show, they started talking about, I made a bunch of notes for this show actually. And one of the things, glyphosate that you started talking about earlier, a lot of the things you were talking about, what's on the labeling and things like that. So I wanted to get into that because people really don't know that the United States has no labeling guidelines. And I wanted to give a quote real quick because I want to get into this. And this was from a Monsanto person, because we talked about that earlier in the show. And Monsanto, because I want to talk about the GMOs, I want to talk about what they're doing with the technology and how it really is affecting, our environment, how it's affecting the things that you're eating, what the studies have shown that the government's not telling you about. But this is from 1998. And this gentleman, I'll give you his name. He said, Monsanto should not have to vouchsafe the safety of biotech food. Our interest is in selling as much of it as possible. Assuring its safety is the FDA's job. And this is Phil Angel, Director of Corporate Communications. And this came out October 25th, 1998. You can Google this guy's name, and this is one of the 2 quotes that actually comes up on Google. These people, as I stated earlier in the show, are the ones who came up with Agent Orange. They're the ones that are doing this gene splicing and stuff. And on the surface, it sounds like a phenomenal idea. I mean, you have the technology to go in and take the DNA, the gene of, say, of a flounder out of the ocean, and take it and put it in a tomato plant so that tomato plant can grow in colder conditions. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a phenomenal idea and a way we can feed the earth at a cheap rate and to make sure that those tomatoes survive. Because of the gene they take, the cold weather gene they take or whatever out of the flounder and put in that tomato, you should be able to feed the earth. On the surface, that is phenomenal. But what people aren't thinking about, what people aren't talking about is we haven't done enough tests on these kind of things to find out when you're altering these genes and things like that, what is it that is going into your bodies? What is it doing to the environment? When you're spraying this stuff, when you're spraying the Roundup on these GMO modified plants and organisms, what's killing like weeds, and I know those weeds are kind of a bad thing, but it's also killing the nutrients in the soil and stuff, and it's destroying the environment. Yeah. So, I know Jonah and Thad probably can speak to this on a greater level, but
yeah, a lot of it, like I said, is the soil health. I mean, a lot of it is fungus and bacteria. That breaks down a lot. The whole thing of this backyard gardens or vegetable, organic vegetable, they say you don't grow plants, you grow soil, and the plant just grows by itself. You raise soil.
Listen to that. Say that one more time, Jonah, because
that you raise soil. You raise soil because it's living. Like I think Thad said on the last podcast, how much organism, how much life is just in a teaspoon of dirt is amazing. So, like I said, the glyphosates, that kills bacteria and fungus. That kills part of that. Well, then what do? Well, then you're just you have to put chemical fertilizer down to feed the plant. Well, then, we're only putting like usually about 4 things back on it. But what chemicals or what other, stuff is the bacteria and fungus actually producing that's helping that plant out that we don't even know about? Because I took some organic chemistry in college, and that's what struck me is they don't even know all the compounds in honey. There's like 10,000. Mm-hmm. They can't even, they only know about 100. I mean, that should be, that is insane. Right now everybody thinks the experts know everything. They know enough to get you in trouble. That's about it.
They don't know nothing. The FDA will never put an approval on something that comes from nature.
Yeah.
We are in.
It's not man-made.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. And God's plan needs to be followed.
Elderberries.
Don't talk to the wife about that. She's all over it. Best known antioxidant on the planet.
So I got to feeling pretty bad right before Christmas, and I'd been hearing all these stories about elderberry. Me, I don't take medicine unless I'm just sick. So I called Simon up. I said, "Hey, you think I can get some of that elderberry syrup?" He's like, "Yeah." 2 days later, it was like I never even had a bug. 2 days.
And it's just herbs and honey and elderberry.
But why?
There's a lot to it, but let me tell you.
Why can't you get an FDA approval on it? Now, I'm just, this is playing devil's advocate. If it works that great, why can you not do a study to prove that it works that great and put a label on it? It's because it's not man-made.
Quarterly profits.
Yeah.
Well, it's not man-made, and
Pfizer doesn't get it.
they don't understand that God is in control, and He has put everything we need to keep our health right in front of us.
A lot of people hate the fact that there is a God too, and I think that they are like just where they said you cause a war upon the earth. I think that's almost what we're at this point. But like quarterly profits, you got to remember like who made Kingsford charcoal? Henry Ford, because he had a ton of hickory left over. Why all of a sudden did Crisco become big? Cottonseed oil. Why? Mm-hmm. Because you had a ton of cotton, you had all this oil. Well, all of a sudden, let's make it into something that people eat. No one's ever ate cottonseed oil before until mass production came around.
But we can make money from it.
Exactly. You make money from anything. And as soon as people become self-sufficient or a little bit more self-sufficient, people start losing money. Corporations start losing money. Mm-hmm. Communities make money. That's the issue. They don't want that.
His horse was about 4 seconds out of the gate, but by George, when that sucker got to going, he was running, wasn't he?
But they change names, they change definitions to be able to fool you. And I know Gayle had touched on this earlier about labeling and things like that. Like the United States, there is no label. I'm like, you can say non-GMO on the label, but that doesn't mean a hill of beans, because what they consider non-GMO is just something that might be so minuscule and obscure that it just completely changes. And like you said about cage-free, 30 minutes, well, it ain't cage-free. Cage-free should be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But they find little loopholes in their wording, because guess who's the one who decides what the wording is?
Well, we cheapen words a lot. The word love is so overused, okay? And I say that on a regular basis. But the other day, Dad was teaching Sunday school, and I was looking up a word in the dictionary, or I Googled the definition of compromise. I just wanted to see what it said.
Don't Google it.
Don't Google it. I know, but I laughed so hard because underneath a couple of modern day definitions, it then offered archaic definitions. Yeah. Archaic definitions.
You mean old-fashioned?
10 years ago?
Like what the word really means. And
Wow.
I just thought, what
That
in
makes
the
me
world?
want to cuss.
Everything's
But Dad was teaching Sunday school, so you're not going to.
We go back.
Exactly, because you're on my left shoulder.
We go back to what you talked about being lazy, and so it's so easy in a world where there's so much information for us to decide that we want somebody else to be the gatekeeper, and
Be
the
the gatekeeper.
gatekeeper has become the USDA or the FDA, and And Billy just pointed out that Monsanto thinks it's FDA's job to decide whether it's safe or not.
And we're
And
talking,
so and the FDA, is a leg of government. Government is for sale, and it's not even the highest bidder.
and we're talking about
Science also is for sale.
the same FDA that came out 20 years ago and somehow approved OxyContin as a opiate that was somehow non-addictive. So now you have doctors out here that are prescribing opioids like it's
Like candy.
Tylenol. Like it's Tylenol. Like you go in there and say, "Oh, my left pinky hurts." Well, here's a 10
It's
oxy.
30 days.
And then they come back a month later and say, "Well, it's not working anymore." Well, let's double it to a 40. Then let's double it to an 80. And these are the same people, the same FDA that approved this and got hoodwinked by the Sackler family. And I encourage anybody that hasn't either read the book or watched the show Dope Sick, which was a book that was written by Beth Macy, who was a Roanoke Times reporter, and they purposely released these Oxycontins to Southwest Virginia and coal country, Pennsylvania to the steel mills, and Maine for the lumber yards and the lumber industry, because they were the people who had the most pain and stuff like this, and they were handing things out. And a couple of years later, now you've got people lined up. People are breaking into these clinics because the FDA approved ads that said it was 99% non-addictive. The first opioid in the history of man that wasn't addictive. And now next thing you know, they have completely destroyed. This is the same FDA that is sitting there telling you that these snake bites, because we're not going to say the V word on this show in fear of getting it taken down, but these snake bites are safe and effective. The same FDA that can be bought and paid for by these corporations is telling you what is safe and what is not safe. And watching one of these documentaries last night, the guy made a phenomenal point. He said, for Monsanto, when you go into D.C., when you're talking about these GMO seeds and everything, it really depends on what side of D.C. you're on. That depends on the legitimacy of what they're saying. Because if they're going, and I got it right here, they said, if you want to ask if a GMO is natural, they got two answers, yes and no. If they're
It couldn't be chalk and cheese, right?
well, no, if they're in front of the FDA or the USDA, then their seed is no different than any other seed, and the public doesn't need to know really what's going on with it. But if they're across town at the patent office, and they say, well, absolutely, that these are different and they're genetically modified, and you have to pay us for it, because there have been farmers out there. The Monsanto has sued multiple farmers over the years, saying, well, you have our product in your field because somebody else's seed from another farm happened to blow into their field, cross-pollination, and all of a sudden it's grown there, and they'll come and say, well, now you have our seed, you owe us money for it. And that's what these people are doing, and that's how they're crushing small farms. And I figure y'all have something to say about this.
That's an episode. That's if my CSI Miami had an episode with something like that. Are we still talking about the same government entities and big pharmaceutical companies that are paying these $1 million lawsuits out to people who are victims of opioid addiction? But have you seen the product that they've come out for the new pain relievers?
No, I haven't.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Well, what is it? This go?
I can't remember the name of it. I just read it, but it's anyway. It's you need to look it up.
So who do we sue for the people who produce the foods that are addicting and killing us because they're processed? Because aren't we talking about
I guess
the
we
same
need
thing?
to go after USDA, FDA, Big Pharma, because their money is behind it, because they profit off of it due to the health fitness and all these products they're putting out for your health.
I don't think that's the answer.
Well, I mean, it can't be, because here's the thing. If you're going and suing the FDA or you're suing any of these government entities, guess what? Now you've got to use your money to go after them. They have
right.
unlimited sources. Why? Because they're stealing your money on the other end. So you're actually,
print their
you are
ads.
on both sides of the lawsuit. Your tax dollars are paying for
That's
you
right.
to sue yourself, essentially.
Quit
That's
buying
right.
from them.
Just
That's
just
right.
Quit buying
Quit buying
from
from
them.
But you was talking about labels.
I want to go back to that. Yeah, good.
Let's go back to labels real quick.
Everybody's getting excited.
Do you know? Can you tell me what is required for grass-fed label to go on a slab of beef in the store?
Why don't you tell us?
the last 90 days of the animal's life is strictly grass.
Right. So
From the time of birth to the time up until 90 days before it is processed, you can feed it whatever you want to. The last 90 days of the animal's life, it can only consume grass products in order for it to be considered grass-fed.
And do you also know that you can label beef in the grocery store American beef as long as it is live on the hoof when it arrives on American soil?
Wow.
Where's
So
a
it
lot,
could
where's
come
a lot of
from-
that coming from? China?
Some, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Brazil.
Brazil.
Yeah.
Wagyu.
Those home meal companies, you I don't know what they're called because I don't use them, but those companies that you get food from and then you prepare
Like Blue Apron,
Martha
and
Stewart
stuff.
pack.
Blue Apron,
Blue-
HelloFresh, all
yeah.
that stuff. So it's the same
Betty
thing.
Crocker.
They use a lot of meat that's sourced in other countries, and on the package it'll say uncrated in America.
Oh, wow.
Stop.
You're getting fancy right there.
Read your labels.
But
Your
even then,
your
isn't
labels will tell you exactly what it is.
But even if you're reading your labels, though, like we mentioned earlier, they can be deceiving in those labels. They can say,
Right. Study what they mean or ask a farmer that knows.
Well, I think we've kind of run around in a circle here on this issue.
Ain't that what we do all the time?
Well, yeah, but the important thing for us to realize is, and the important thing to be said here is, all of this boils down to one word essentially, and that's integrity. And integrity comes from the character of the individual who you are purchasing from. And if it's a corporate entity, you do not know who that individual is, nor are you ever going to know.
Nor are you ever going to get integrity.
You must have a relationship with the people who you get businesses, who you do business from, so that you can understand the integrity of their character, and that's going to give you some idea of whether that food is safe or not.
well, like Smithfield Beets these days. Smithfield Beets, if I'm not mistaken, if that's the right one, they're owned by China now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
what
51%.
What
Yeah.
interest does China have in seeing this country better our health? You know what I mean? Like right now, TikTok is a prime example. In America right now, TikTok, the algorithms, they are producing people doing dumb stuff. They're producing people doing pranks and all kinds of crazy stuff. You know what TikTok does in China? It produces videos of kids winning science fairs. It produces videos of kids making achievements, people doing great things. Now, hate China all you want to, and I do, because they're a communist dictatorship, but how they are keeping a hold on their people is because they are promoting within, and they're promoting people that are doing great things. Now, I think you should be able to promote whatever you want to promote, but the algorithms in that TikTok here in America are not the same, and they are producing things in this country to devalue us, to demoralize us, to make us turn from God, to make us turn from what is moral, and like you said, integrity. That's what they're trying to do. So if that's what China's trying to do as far as a mobile app, what do you think they're doing in our pork products? You think they're sitting there and producing the best? No, they're producing the quickest and the most efficient and the most profitable meats they can. It has nothing to do with what's going to make you healthy. Why? Because you're going to eat their meats, and you're probably going to get sick in a few years, and you're going to have to go to the doctors that are going to use medicines and use techniques and use products that come from China. Yep. I mean, they are profiting off of our livelihoods. They're profiting off of our illnesses. I mean, they're profiting off of everything. And people in D.C.
We've allowed that to happen.
We have.
We've allowed that to happen. And what we're looking to do now, there's a local group, and I'm not going to drop names or name anything. We're going to come up with a directory of where you can obtain produce, meat, whatever you care to put in your body through nutrition. We're going to strive to develop this and with local producers across the county.
Within 6 months, I think, right?
Well,
yes.
Back to what Gayle talked about, is about what, as a purveyor of the household food or whatever, the head of the household or the whatever.
No, that's you, honey.
Yeah, the wife of the household, the person who looks after the nutrition,
the homemaker,
the person who looks after the nutrition of the family. What can you do? Well, the first thing you do is you find somebody local to buy from.
Yep.
and you might say, well, I don't understand about this GMO stuff. I don't know about that, and I don't know about any of this other stuff. Well, guess what? When you start buying local, you're going to figure it out. Not because you're going to when you start asking the questions, you're going to begin to understand, and you're going to relate those questions and those answers with the flavors that you find.
The flavor profile
And
tells you exactly what the level of improvement that you've made.
That's right.
By making that choice.
That's
And
right.
in
How
my-
was your trout, Simon?
Absolutely spectacular.
And in my opinion, if you have quality products, you do not need a herb garden to bring the flavors out.
You're a
We hit-
barbarian.
Well, you've got to start.
We
you've
hit
got to
this
start
last
slowly.
time. We hit this last time. It's the Brits that brought that
Thank
crap
you.
over here.
It's the Brits.
It's the
They
Brits that brought that
French.
crap over here.
Hundreds of years of wars for spices, and they still have terrible food.
And they are still blaming the first. They are still blaming the first shot fired on us.
fish and chips and
Fish and chips.
peas
Get
and
out of
gravy.
here with that crap. Who wants to eat fish and chips when you can get a third pound of burger grown locally, throw that thing on the grill for about 4 to 5 minutes?
Man, I've just been persecuted. Persecuted.
Depending on how you like your meat, whether you like it medium rare or well done, and that thing has got juices. Fish and chips.
I'm gonna come on Simon's defense. Though.
You might as well just get a fur ball and try and chew on that
No.
and swallow that.
You know what?
Fish and chips. No wonder why you drink so much. It's to match the taste of those fish and chips you're eating. I mean, come on now.
Man,
They're
fish-
beer battered.
I want to come to Simon's defense.
Oh, bless you.
Jonah,
Bless you.
I like
Jonah.
you,
No,
and I have
no,
liked you
I
from
have
the
to
day
say
we
this.
met.
Problem with Southerners, I have noticed, is we go down to southern beaches. We go to these all-you-can-eat seafood buffets. Where does the seafood come from? It usually comes from the Pacific Ocean. Why are you sitting on the Atlantic coast? You could spit and hit the water, and you're getting seafood from the Pacific Ocean. When I was up in New England, North Atlantic cod and North Atlantic cold water fish is amazing. You go to an Irish pub and get you some good fish and chips.
Top
and
of
a
the morning
Guinness.
to you.
Yes. I would. You can get a good burger about anywhere
I
in
say
America.
bottom of the evening to you.
I'm going to make you eat fish and chips my style.
I will eat fish and chips your style as long as you have a decent drink around.
It's got to be Guinness.
But
That's a bit of an oxymoron in
look,
itself.
look, Simon, you opened the door up. I had to run with it.
You walked in with both feet, mate.
I listened to the podcast where y'all were talking about fish and chips, and I agreed 100%. Only a Brit would come to Southwest Virginia and say he would rather have fish and chips than he would a burger.
That was a show you were on. That was a Christmas show. We started that show off asking him a plethora of
In
questions.
fairness,
yeah.
In fairness,
So-
I'm about to partake in Foggy Ridge burger.
Say that one more time. No, I'm being serious. I didn't.
I am about to partake in my first Foggy Ridge burger.
Have at it, Bubba.
And I'm going to love it. And I do it slightly differently too. But it's going to be Foggy Ridge.
So speaking of Brits, listen to this.
Oh, shit.
I thought you're not going to ask him his thoughts on Prince Harry and
No,
and
I
whatever
don't-
her name
don't
is.
even.
I could care
Oh, I
less.
dare you.
I could
We're gonna
care
have to
less
get there,
about
man.
this. So, if you were buying a quarter of a beef from somebody, and say you were getting the front shoulder, you got your prime rib and your ribeyes, which would you choose?
I like all red meat. That's not a
I
fair
know,
question.
but what I'm saying is, if
Don't fall into the trap.
if you
Don't
had
do it.
one choice as to whether you wanted ribeyes or prime rib,
I take
which one would
ribeyes
you
all
choose?
day long.
Which
That's
would
me,
you
though.
choose?
Oh, you
Me,
suck.
me ribeyes.
I would too.
So, I got Simon's cut sheet back,
Oh.
and he had prime rib roast down, and I was like,
It's because he's inviting me for dinner.
"What in the world? Why would
I cook
somebody?"
it special too.
I'm thinking,
Easier yourself.
I'm thinking Simon's a steak guy. So we're talking, and he's like, "I was like, Simon, why did you get a prime rib roast instead of ribeyes?" And Simon said, "Well, if I'm in the mood for ribeyes, I can just slice my prime rib up and use it for my ribeyes. And I was like, pretty smart man.
Right?
I was stunned.
I like
You
that
haven't had my
equally.
prime rib.
I do too. And
I love it.
it threw me for a loop because instinctively, so I take Simon for a steak guy. But he would rather have a roast, and if he decides he wants steaks that night, that he's going to cook the roast, he'll just slice it up.
That's part of the education process, though, too. We have a store, so we have customers who come in our storefront, and
By the way, Melvins Farm to Fork.
store. Thank you.
I'm
So-
selling it, baby.
Thank you. Appreciate that. But and I'm sure that other folks in the county who are doing similar things have the same issue. We spend a lot of time educating people on how to cook those products. So I'll have phone calls on a regular basis where people are like, "Well, I bought a roast from you, but I'm not real sure what to do with it." Or I bought a pork shoulder. How should I cook that or prepare it? And it's because if you're going to encourage people to shop local, then you've got this plethora of available cuts. Over in England, they don't call organ meat. What do you call it?
Offal.
Awful for a reason. No, I'm just
And that's
kidding.
OFFAL, not AWFUL.
Do you guys sell
It
liver?
still sounds the same, and to me, it tastes the same. Awful and awful.
Well, despite how you feel about organ meat, because
Enunciation,
there are
old chap.
amazing nutritious benefits to people eating organ meats, and there are great ways to prepare those as well to make them not so awful.
Oh, steak and kidney pie. Bring it.
That sounds.
You guys, you got no concept. We're talking about beef
My
cheeks.
dog is so southern that it wouldn't eat that.
I'm loving you every
Bring the
minute.
cornbread. I mean,
Just bring cornbread. Beef cheeks. Oxtail. I mean, shank.
Hey, we harvested 3 animals for my personal family this past Saturday, and I specifically saved the oxtail to my animal for you.
that's
I
nice.
love you.
But
And I'm going to cook it for you.
those of us that are doing this locally are working hard to use the animal from nose to tail. And Thad's grandma used to say they'd butcher hogs, and
That was a polite way of putting it, by the way.
Yeah.
Never mind.
And they didn't waste nothing from the
They
rooter
wasted
to the
nothing.
tutor.
They ate everything but the squeals.
That's what
she
Thad's
said.
grandma said.
Squeal,
They
that's
ate
what
everything
she
but the
said.
squeal.
Everything but the
And
squeal.
Rooter
and
to the
doing
tutor.
things the way we're doing it allows us to use these whole animals, so there's also less waste.
That's
And I
right.
think that's important as
Yeah,
well.
That's right.
That's my coworker brought in some souse meat or head cheese, whichever one you want to call it.
Oh,
I
Lord.
love it. I love it. It's the Appalachian culture.
Now, souse meat and head cheese. Is that the catch-all pot?
It's
Because
usually-
we do something I call I know it by several different names, but you got pond hoss or scrapple.
Yeah, I've heard both. I've always heard head cheese as being, your head minus your jaws and then your feet.
Okay.
Sometimes it can incorporate the brains, but it doesn't have to. But
Now,
yeah, it's basically just gelatin. It's basically gelatin and fat and a little bit of meat.
Now your old timers, my wife's grandpa. Everybody despises doing it, but he loves pig brains. And it's one. And
I've heard pig
it's
brains
very-
taste like the best bacon you've ever had.
It's very nutritional.
People cook it with scrambled eggs.
Very nutritional, and I can't get over that fat. And anyway, we were up one night working our hog up, and he gives me a hard time. Oh, I'm gonna fix you some scrambled eggs and brains, and I'm like, no, you're not either. I get up the next morning, and Papa has already fixed eggs and sausage. He's like, sit down and have your plate, boy. I'm good, Pop. I'm not real hungry. And I could see this grin on his face.
He got you.
No. About that time, Grandma come out, and she said, baby, I made you a separate separate skillet of eggs. She said, Pop will go in the bathroom here in a minute. And she said, you just eat your eggs, and I'll put these in the refrigerator so he thinks you ate his eggs. Well, sure enough, Papa comes out. How'd you like your eggs, boy? I said, well, they's pretty darn tasty. He said, they had brains in them. Grandma reached around there and grabbed the refrigerator door and, no, right there's your eggs, Elton. Lexi, why'd you do that?
You know, it's a bit like the blood sausage.
I like blood sausage. Good.
I mean, in moderation. Again, all things
In moderation.
in moderation. Blood sausage, as much as it may sound disgusting when you figure out what it is, when you put it into a full English or Irish or Scottish breakfast, whichever one wants to lay claim to it, it's delicious.
Well,
I
it sounds
love it.
like a Brit thing to me, so I'm good. But
God save the king.
So we'll bring the nutritional part, and Gayle can pick up on this because she's a woman and she fully understands it more than I do. Bill Gates is one of the largest agricultural landowners.
The largest.
Is he the largest?
The
now?
largest.
In the United States. If you follow the money, he is the biggest donor to the research of what's the word I'm looking for?
Depopulation.
Lab grown
different topic.
meats.
Yeah, lab
Yep.
grown.
Yes,
Lab
he is.
grown products.
And insects too.
Yeah, and his dad worked for Planned Parenthood. That wants to.
Yeah,
kill
he's
all-
eugenics.
Oh yeah, they definitely. I mean,
He does not own farmland for the benefit of the American people.
No, he does not. You do.
With that being said, I brought it up on the podcast, and I still didn't bring that packet with me. But when you do lab-grown meats, you apply chemicals such as estrogen and
Well, but they're produced.
hormones.
yes.
And when you elevate those levels for a woman's body, that can really make. And this is why I said you can answer this better than I can. But like their reproductive system and certain things that ladies go through that men don't, because they have the ability to reproduce a child inside their body because they are a woman.
Hold on,
Hallelujah.
Be careful now. A
I
man
say
can get
hallelujah.
pregnant.
Thank you.
A man can't get
Beautiful
pregnant
thing.
these days. I saw.
But
on the internet.
nutrition and health, it goes what I said on one of the last podcasts. You think we have health issues now? Wait till we start, and they start forcing that stuff to be ate.
Now explain real quick.
What
for
will that
somebody,
do? What does a product that you I don't. So you eat a product that's been altered and has all these chemicals in it. What can it cause for a woman?
All kinds of problems. So I got a couple of different trains of thought here while I'm thinking. First of all, a minute ago, you said a key phrase, which was follow the money. Okay, I think we talked about that a little bit ago because science is for sale. Lots of things are for sale. So we got to keep that in mind.
Everyone's for sale.
Sure.
Yeah.
We're humans. And so
I'm not.
back to health issues, though, let's talk for just a second about that plant-based burger you just brought up, basically. It has 17 ingredients in it, none of which you can pronounce. Ground beef is ground beef. Now it's not all created local. Go find a local farm to get it from and make sure it is not uncreated on American soil.
Actually, ground beef does have a name. It's called a cow.
Cow, that's great. And you can pronounce it.
And it don't come off a hamburger
Right.
truck.
How simple.
My 21-month-old can say cow. You know
That's
what I'm
right.
saying? That's great. Pronounce it. But, we're consuming things every single day that are causing massive infertility issues in this country. We eat Cool Whip. Cool Whip has 18 ingredients, none of which you can pronounce. Get some heavy whipping cream and whip it up. And gosh, man, you have something really good
Delicious,
that is
too.
nutritious. Okay. But I have a customer who, had a number of miscarriages, which we also have dealt with. And she, about 10 years ago, decided to change the trajectory of what she was eating. She said, I'm tired of taking fertility medicine. I don't know what that's doing to me. I'm tired of all these things that people are telling me to do. We're just going to change what we eat. And so they began to grow their own food, and they began to not use certain chemicals that they decided were not good for them. And very quickly, she was able to conceive and carry a pregnancy to term. And I truly believe that what we're eating, you're right.
It's killing
you
us.
said earlier, we have a choice here. And Thad said food is medicine. It doesn't even... we don't have to continue to eat the way we're eating. We're going to pay for it up front if we eat good food now, or we're going to pay for it down the road to the medical industry. We want to give them more of our money.
Which end
So
do you want to pay the price for?
I just had a light bulb go off in my head.
I saw it.
Instead of us farmers sitting around here on the podcast, we need to have success stories like your customer, like my family member. We need to find people who have changed the way that their lifestyle with their food. We need to find them people and get them people to start
Sharing their testimony.
Yes, sharing
Singing.
their testimony.
Singing.
Because here's
their
what
testimony.
happens. Here's what happens. So if you know, a handful of us can sit down on this podcast and talk. Nobody, either one, they're going to believe us and they're going to do it. Two, somebody's going to slip up and we're going to get shut down. But if you have 40 women,
Ain't shutting me down.
but what you see what I'm saying? If you had, it's like the farmers. You can big ag you can control. 40 or 50 small dairy farmers you can't. You can control to an extent if you have big media platform. But if you take this media platform and throughout the year you have, I don't know, 15 women come on here and talk about what an success story it was to go to a local farm and get quality products and change their lifestyle of what they're eating. Just like you said, she went through several miscarriages, and the simple things she done.
And it's not just women, the other gender, men.
The men,
Also,
for sure.
Take men off of soy products and see what happens.
That's right.
We'll get men back.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
We'll get them big burly men. Simon, you are not burly. And you,
meat is a rattlesnake.
Look,
mate.
listen, your wife told me that you had a wax appointment tomorrow. Not to chap you too bad.
Yeah, but that's okay. But it only hurts once.
Billy, Billy looked up like, what in the world? But if you have women that are willing to come sit down and just share a successful story about how they were able, and that's the only thing they did. She come off medication,
Fertility medicine.
medications to help her get pregnant. She simply done one lifestyle change, and that was change what she was eating.
She ate what God intended her to eat.
Bingo.
No, she said it better than I did.
That's a bingo moment.
She was eating what God intended for her to eat.
Well, explain real quick what lab meat is, because I don't think people quite understand. Because right now, a lot of the stuff you're eating in the stores is clone meat. And clone meat and lab meat might be a little bit different, but right now you're eating clone meat. Soon you're going to be eating lab meat, which means...
So I know how they grow cells for hospitals. Like, I didn't realize, I did learn this in microbiology, by the way, is usually when a boy has a circumcision, that is infant tissue. So you can just keep reproducing that in a sterile environment. As long as you give it the nutrients it needs, it will just keep
Well, they use it for
growing.
facial cream, too.
Yeah, they keep doing all kinds of stuff.
Hollywood does.
Yeah, with that. So basically, as long as you have a certain type of cell and you just keep giving it, the nutrients it needs, the hormones or whatever, you can keep reproducing that cell. From what I understand, that's basically what they're doing. So instead of growing an animal, it's kind of how we've turned gardening or growing crops into a chemical science. We're almost going to turn, meat into a chemical science. Instead of growing an animal, raising an animal, we're just going to be like throw a bunch of chemicals in a pot.
It's not almost. It is.
It is. It is. I should say that because
You take a cell of a animal, or the meat, because an animal has organs, muscle tissue, hide. So you take a cell of that meat, and you're able to produce it.
Do you know what cell they use?
I'm not sure.
They use the blood from the fetus of calves. When they slaughter the cows, they harvest the blood of the calf if the cow is pregnant, and that's what they grow. So if you think you're getting a vegetarian burger, it ain't vegetarian.
It was produced off the cell of a slaughtered baby calf.
Boy, that'd be great to just
Hang on one second. Thad, can you say that one more time?
The Impossible Burger, and there's 2 or 3 others, but they grow their media to make these Impossible Burgers from the blood of unborn fetuses out of baby calves that are, when they butcher the cow, if the cow has a calf in it, they're instructed to take the blood and they save the blood. That's where it goes.
If you don't think that is ungodly,
That is ungodly.
then you need to go. You need to go there.
Yeah.
You need to go there. Because I ain't saving you.
Well, I know, like Gayle had mentioned earlier, when you're buying your meat local, and we'll use meat as this example, a lot of times I think one of the biggest hangups people have is they look at it and say, man, that's a couple more dollars more than I'm going to go get it in the store. But you're making an investment into your future. You're making an investment because whatever you're going to save now, you're probably going to pay triple or quadruple later in health bills. You're going to pay in hospital visits because the stuff you're putting into your system. And not only that, but I can vouch for this as well because,
Who designed that?
well, the government, FDA, somebody down the line.
I'd like to just say one thing to that comment. Last year, I had a customer called me. Now, I'll be the first to admit, last year my animals were not ready to go when we sent them. I mismanaged them through the summer, and they didn't get to full size.
never hear a big ag guy say that.
I'll be straight up honest with you. That drought come through, and I should have been 2 weeks. I should have been doing something about it 2 weeks earlier than I did, and I missed my mark for what I was shooting for. And so they were on the small side. I had a lady call me. She was like, so I done the math of what I paid for a quarter to the meat that I got back. And she had a list of everything she got back. And she said it come out to X amount of dollars. I said, okay, give me a couple hours and I'll get back with you on something. So I sent that list to my sister and I said, go shopping at Kroger. Buy everything as if it was not on sale. I mean, don't save any money. Go shop.
Yeah, per pound, per cup. I see what you're doing.
I still come back. I think I was right at $120 cheaper. At $4 a pound, I come back. Well, the meat that she got back, I come back $150 cheaper than what she would have got if she would have went to Kroger and bought it that day. No sales.
And that's...
she got a quality product that was...
Exactly.
a total of like 20 days old.
Right. So you've got something that... If we get really smart about it...
Right. Now, if she listens to this podcast, I'm not dropping any names. I want her to fully understand that I'm using this for educational purpose at all. I'm not bashing nobody. I will admit my failures. But for people out there that say, well, this is so expensive, I don't see how you can charge somebody this. I can't see how. I can't afford this. I have a customer that buys a whole cow every year. A whole cow. This year, he's getting ready to have another baby. And if that's the case, hear me out. That baby better not come to January the 22nd because I will be turning 33 and I need a birthday baby. And he is my one of my he is my closest friend. He buys a whole cow every year. He called me. I said, "What do you want this year?" He said, "Well, we're getting ready to have another baby. We probably ought to get one of the biggest ones you got." Processing and paying me, his bill was $2,800 or $2,900 when he put everything in his freezer.
What was the weight on that? Roughly.
The cow hung right at 600 pounds.
There you go. Do the math.
And he got it at $3.90 a pound. We got our weights back, and what we put in them to what they done, we decided it was worth dropping 10 cents, so we went to $3.90 to help our customers out. But that whole cow will last his family within 2 months of me having another one ready to go for him. All year long. His wife will not, she will not go to the store and buy any other kind of beef the whole year. Mm-hmm. And trust me, I'll know when she's getting low, because I'll get that phone call. You got something ready to go again? Well, yeah, we're about 2 months out.
You know, there's
so they will spend up to, well, this year they spent $2,900 for a whole animal processed and at their home in the freezers.
And they know where it came from.
They know where it come
They
from.
know how it was raised. They know what it ate.
And they know that it has no preservatives and no
growth
hormones, nothing else in it. And I guarantee you that if I go and get a list of everything that they got and go grocery shopping at Kroger,
what would that have cost them at Kroger?
I haven't done that one yet.
What they're paying for is about $3.30 a meal. I mean, that's really nothing.
No, I understand the math behind this, and we've all done it.
Yep.
And the biggest problem that we all have to overcome doing this share purchasing is a big amount of cash up front.
Which is difficult.
And room to keep it.
That's right.
And room
People
to
live
store it.
paycheck to paycheck. I mean,
That's right.
That's the reality of our country.
It's not just being able to store it. It's being able to store it with a reliable power supply that allows you to freeze it.
Well, don't even go about the reliable.
Power and electricity is a whole nother podcast.
Let's not even talk about electricity. Let's not talk about electricity. Let's talk about having a quality product of a freezer that you can rely on to keep your meat in.
When you cost it out.
Yes, and I'm going to tell you this. 3 years ago, we bought a Whirlpool upright freezer. A day after it went out of warranty, the thing quit. Mm-hmm. We had a whole half of a cow we had just put in it. We scrambled around and was able to find freezer space to get it in to keep it. It took us 3 months to get the parts. So I called Whirlpool and I said, "Look, this is what's up. Well, it's out of warranty. We don't know if we can fix it." I was like, "Okay." Being as that said, me and my wife, we just bought a house. We're getting ready to put all new appliances in, and I can guarantee you I won't spend another dime on Whirlpool. Well, 2 weeks later, I had a brand new part sitting there to fix it. But you're going to have to find somebody else to fix it because it's COVID and we can't get none of our people out to get it done. So I found somebody to fix it. They sent me the part. A reliable source fixed it. Exactly a year later, it went out again.
Designed to fail.
Designed to fail.
Mm-hmm.
So, I went and bought for Christmas. My wife got an $1,100 freezer, and then that $1,100 included a 5-year warranty, with the promise that if it fails once, they come and fix it. If it fails twice, they give me a whole new machine. And if I don't use my warranty within 5 years, I get 30% of the extended warranty that I bought back.
Okay, there's I'll add a caveat to that because I've played that game too. I made, whilst I was working offshore, gobloads of money. It was stupid.
Yeah, speaking of the gobloads of money, you told me earlier today you were here to please, and I said $1 million would be better for me too. And I mean,
or just another couple hundred in his savings, Simon.
Come on, man.
Huh?
Come on,
Or maybe a subscription to our Patreon page.
Hey, that would work. You know.
He's on a fixed income now.
I mean, he must be.
So the deal is, you've got me in a trap.
You wanted me. Y'all said on the Christmas Come On to Franklin County Christmas podcast, y'all should have me more on more often because I was like a co-host.
Yeah, you got a voice for this kind of stuff.
You're in.
I am here to be your nemesis co-host.
Oh shit!
And if you need somebody to be the George Floyd of these farming podcasts, you can put my face all over it, buddy.
Hey, look. Just to give a shout out real quick, I've broken into my Crown Royal Peach right here that was actually a gift from the Black Lives Matter fellas from Brown and Darnell.
And I'm going to tell you
this was
what,
a gift from them, and this is kudos to them for bringing this.
I've been in several conversations with them, and they are, while I can't get behind BLM, I can get behind Brian and Darnell.
Absolutely.
We agree.
They are awesome guys.
Absolutely. I've got no issue with them as individuals whatsoever.
And I would dare say that they probably do just as much for they have
the betterment of this
county,
yeah,
than most organizations that are founded in this county for this county. They are awesome guys.
Yep. I'm not going to disagree with that at all.
No. And we're going to have them back. We're going to have them back, and hopefully at some point in time we'll bring Chris on with them because that'd be
if y'all have
well.
them back and y'all don't have me, I'm gonna raise hell.
But when we're talking about prices and stuff, because I wanted to make this apparent, I want people to understand this as well. Because when you're going to these local farmers and you're buying their product, and I know I'm going to catch hell for this because the way it's worded, but a lot of times Amos will give me his meat. And,
oh, really?
and look, and it's the same if you get it from Thad and Gayle. It's the same if you get it from any of these local places. Look, when you go into the store and you buy ground beef, because we know ground beef is quintessential for
staple.
So yeah, exactly. Tacos, spaghetti, hamburgers, whatever you want to make. You go in there and you buy that wiener looking thing of ground beef, and you might pay X amount of dollars for it.
It looks like a great deal.
Yeah, or even the pre-made hamburger patties they have in there, all of it. You take them, those pre-made hamburger patties, man, they look so good. I mean, they're big and juicy and massive. You go put that on the grill, and when you come back with it, the thing is half the size it is. Mm-hmm. You take one of Amos's, because that's where I get a lot of my meat. When I run out of Amos's meat, I go down there and get it from Thad and him. You take one of his, the size of that patty when you put it on the grill is the size of the patty that it comes off with. So you're still getting more bang for your buck. You just can't see it because you've been conditioned so much to just look at price and price alone. You have to dig deeper than price. You have to also look into quality. You have to look at how lean it is, looking what's being fed, where it's being processed, all these kind of things that people need to educate themselves on. And that's a huge part of this show is educate yourselves. You know what I mean? Go down to Melvins Farm to Fork store, talk to Gayle, talk to Thad, let them speak to you and educate you a little bit. 5 minutes of conversation is all you really need to be able to figure out, well, hey, and if everybody here starts buying local, well, then guess what? The prices will eventually go down there as well because you know what? They can't handle everybody in Franklin County. So you know what? You go off to your other buddies around town. You go off to Amos. You go off to the NAF boys. What's it now? Foothill Cattles. Jacob and Hunter and them bastards, Matt Hubbard. I hate them, but I love them to death. But
Brian Fizel for sausage. Let me tell you, one of the best
people.
Sausage producers in the county.
You just said something that really needs to be drove home. You said if you have questions about it, you 5 to 10 minutes, and Gayle will explain it to you. Gayle spend 2 hours. I'm not. No, what I'm saying is Gayle will take 2 hours out of her day to sit down with you and explain the benefits and what the process is to their farm with you to ensure and to
but
make
with no benefit to her.
No benefits to her other than the hope that maybe you will understand the information she has given you and make the choice that is right for you.
And I am certainly not the only one.
No.
Amber Mitchell will do the same thing. Yep. The Prices will do the same thing. Everybody that's doing what we're doing will take the time to answer the questions you have and share the benefits of what you're getting. And you are not going to get that at the butcher counter.
You're
ever.
Not. Ever. Ever. What did you say at the last podcast? If you got a complaint with Kroger, do what? Who might you get? The store manager? Maybe. You ain't.
I probably said something fairly rude.
Yeah.
Knowing me.
I mean, she is. This couple right here. This is their livelihood.
Stand by their products.
They will stand behind their product. If a jar of milk goes out to your refrigerator and they get wind of it and something happens with a test and they know that it's not right, they're going to call you and they're going to say, bring your milk back or pour it down the drain. Do not drink it.
And actually, ours is never going to go out if the test fails.
So
We're
there
not
you go.
Send it out.
There you go.
And that's
That's her
control.
raising the standards. That's her raising the standards and making sure that she is putting a quality product in your family's refrigerator for your family to enjoy and benefit from. Well, if you can't pay a few extra cents more for knowing that this is a family who raises their family on a farm and is eating and drinking the same product,
I love it.
that they are selling to you, and they will walk through the gates of Hades to make sure that your family has the chance to enjoy a quality milk, a quality beef, and a quality bacon, and whatever else comes out of Melvins Farm.
And the men and women in this county that are doing similar things, they're no different. I mean, they want you to come to them. They want you to be educated on this. They want you to engage
with these
they
people.
Are full of knowledge, and they're not doing it to get rich. I mean, some of them, the wife has a full-time job and she's running the farm store or whatever part of that they're doing. There's no getting rich here. I mean, I left a lucrative career with Pampered Chef that I made great money from run the farm store.
We know.
Thanks, Billy.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you got many of our wives' money.
Right, but I love that and I enjoyed it very much. But at some point, I had to say I can't do both of these businesses well. I'm going to focus on this farm store. This business that we started on the day of the shutdown in 2020. I want to pour myself into
That's like turning up and going, I need to sell a house in 2008.
Right. So the people who think that the farmer or the farm store owner is getting rich because we're doing what we're doing at the cost that we're doing it, I don't have a salary. It's a common topic at my house.
But it's not even about getting rich. It's about supporting your family, and then whatever extra money you make, you're probably going to reinvest it back into the community, and you might sponsor a sports team that your children are going to be playing on, so they have uniforms.
If you go to the grocery store, whose pockets are you lining? I mean, somebody executive sitting in a padded chair in an office somewhere.
Well, also, I think it goes down to it's like we don't think we should be spending that much money on food. It's like we almost think that the farmer shouldn't be earning a livelihood.
We got flogged into submission on cheap food.
That's right.
And you know what? The cheap food that you are buying, and I'm talking to everyone that's listening, the cheap food that you are buying is poisoning you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we in this country are so accustomed to cheap food prices that we're all having some sticker shock right now. Our chickens also stopped laying for a little bit there, and so I would fix a hot breakfast for our farm employees. And one morning I was out of eggs, and so I called one of the guys that works for us. I said, "Hey, when you run by the store, grab some eggs for me on your way in." And I hated to do it, but I needed to fix breakfast. So he got there, and I was like, "How much were those eggs?" And he was like,
"Watch out,
$5.59, and I was like, oh wow, because mine in the store are $5.50. Huh, that's interesting. And it, just thinking about that is crazy. And Thad tells a story about his dad all the time because he has a lot of those stories. But your dad went to Jamaica at some point, and you tell the story.
Your dad went to Jamaica.
He did.
Everything I read,
Well, the
story goes.
Inflation is something that we in this country really don't know anything about, and
We're about to.
and we also don't know anything about currency devaluation.
We're about to.
Yeah, you're right. But what he discovered when he was, and this has probably been 20 years ago, he went to Jamaica, and where he stayed at, they had help that looked after the children and kept the house. I mean, there's two types of people down there, and there's rich people, and I'm talking about people that live in a a 10,000 square foot mansion essentially, and then there's people that live in a cardboard box. There's no in between.
No.
Okay, and so what he asked one of the little girls there that was keeping the kids, she worked 12 hours, and they paid her $11. And at some point during his stay, he went to Burger King, and for a hamburger, it was $22.
No cheese.
No cheese.
It was probably
No French fries, no combo meal, no nothing. They paid her half a
day's wage.
Essentially a half of a meal.
Right, half a meal.
And that's all she was getting for a full day, 12 hours. And this goes on throughout the world, really. Yeah. And we don't know anything
economy
about
of
that.
Scale.
Yeah, it's economy of scale. And also, and it goes back to the idea of we are so shocked about cheap food.
There's a reason it's so cheap.
We think that our children, we must buy our children the best college education, and our children must have the best electronics, and our children must have the best this and the best that. And I'm not knocking any of those things, but what I'm saying is we do that as a society at the expense of our own health because we expect cheap food. We expect it to be cheap and I'm going to go a little further down this path, and we're getting way off topic here, but
no, we're not.
But part of the reason why that we have an immigration problem in this country is because the United States, Republicans and Democrats, walked down the path of free trade, and what we did when we brought free trade in this country, free trade in quotes, is we took away the prosperity of the people in Mexico and Central America. They no longer could feed their families, so they come up here. And they don't really want to live up here, and they don't want to be up here. They send their money back. Yeah. But they cannot off 3 acres, they can no longer feed their family because of the cheap products that was coming from us that was subsidized by the taxpayers in the form of corn and soy and whatever else. And it was going down there to Mexico, and those people could no longer they couldn't live anymore.
Yep. And those things, we're getting cheap labor, wage slaves. Like I've been down to Florida, like where your orange juice come from. I mean, your orange juice, your grapefruits, all your vegetables come from cheap labor. It's modern slavery.
Well, yeah,
I'll put it
and that's
way.
where a lot of
It's
your
modern
diseases
slavery.
come from too. I mean, people worry about what is it that comes in, like is it E. coli or Ebola? One of that, you get these people working out in the fields and stuff.
Measles and mumps, I know.
And they don't provide them with any facilities to use a bathroom or anything. They're out there in the field 14 hours a day. So what do? They use a restroom right out there in the middle of the field. Like anybody normally would, and then that food gets sent to the processing factory, and then it comes into the grocery store.
Well,
Next thing you're eating piss.
That's the whole root cause of E. coli.
Yeah.
Is the abuse of illegal labor.
Some of them,
Now,
actually, they're legal too. That's the problem. They're legal and still paid very low.
Now, working at Seven Oaks, they had a program. Guys from Belize, Mexico, and
I lived in Belize.
a time or two, the Dominican Republic.
I lived there too.
Now they come through a work program. They're here for so many months, and they go back home. As a single man, I was renting a place that I could have 2 more people living with me. And so I wanted to learn more about the
culture
the Hispanic. You have not had Hispanic food until you have a guy fix it for you in your kitchen And the 2 years that those guys stayed with me, man, we had so much fun. I learned so much stuff.
Tex-Mex don't cut it, right?
That's right. But what I'm telling you is talking about sending money home to Mexico. So I got real close with one of the guys that stayed with me. Me and him worked together. Anyway, I asked him. I said, "How much stuff do you do while you're here on your off time?" And he was like, "Most of the time, I hang out, hang out in the house." I was like, "So how much money do you spend?" I'm just curious. So him and the guy that stayed with me, they went in together. Both of them, they paid $800 for like a 1995 Oldsmobile. Ragged out. It run great. It got them back and forth to work. They went in half and bought it. They figured out that they could ride back and forth to work on $50 of gas for 2 weeks. So they budgeted themselves $50 for 2 weeks.
Yep.
On gas. Then they figured out what it cost them a week in food.
Here it comes.
Rice and beans.
Tacos.
Dude.
Or tacos.
Food that I would have never thought about buying that they could bring home, and it's cheap. In the stores.
Cheap.
Can make some amazing, authentic food.
Do they use any herbs?
Cilantro was the number one herb.
Hang on. Look, just 1 second here before I drop an F-bomb.
Salt, pepper,
it's
and a
H
little
with
bit of cilantro.
H.
You just got the no-go on the F-bomb.
H and herbs.
H and herbs or herbs?
Don't you start that French monkey business with me. It's herbs.
Herbs and spices.
Anyway, carry on, Chris. Thank you very much, mate.
Anyway, so, and I don't know what the minimum, what they were getting paid, but every 2 weeks they would take their paychecks, cash them, keep out. I mean, absolute bare minimum for the first 3 months that he was here. He literally went to work and went back to the house.
Subsistence living.
Yeah.
That's
Pretty
what
much.
that is. I know exactly what
Pretty
it is.
much. And so he would send his whole paycheck to Mexico to his family. But what was really cool was the money that he didn't use for his groceries, he set back. Coolest thing I ever seen. He set back. And at Christmas time, he went shopping. This dude saved like $1,500. Went shopping Black Friday, bought his family a massive TV. I don't remember what it was, but bought his family TV, bought his kids Christmas presents, and found another fellow who was going back to Mexico that had a vehicle and was driving. And they piled in that thing with everything that they had bought for their families with the money that they saved.
Just that they didn't spend over on the grocery budget.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And bought all this stuff within 7 to 8 months. And then took that stuff home to their family to give their family a better lifestyle. Meanwhile, putting paycheck after paycheck.
Sacrificing his life away from his family.
Sacrificing his health for his family's wealth.
Do you know that you only have to spend $28 a day to waste $10,000 in a year? So if we didn't pick up the soda on the way out of the Walmart, if we didn't run through the Starbucks, I'm probably just committed podcast suicide right there, my first podcast. But
No, we don't like
we're
it.
not
if
Starbucks
we
fans around here. We
cut-
support the whole bean coffee
right,
house. and-
good, because
Yeah.
Kylie's awesome.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, she's great.
My
So
wife loves
if
her.
we thought about that, if we cut out the junk food, if we didn't get the Little Debbie cakes, if we didn't get the Coca-Cola on the way out, and we cut out $28 of spending a day, we'd have $10,000 and like $220 or something extra each year.
But you can do that if you start shopping local.
Oh yeah.
If you buy, what I'm saying is, if you buy your primary meats and milk from Melvins Farm, they don't have that junk food.
Yeah, I don't have a
Fork to
candy
farm.
bar. I
we
don't
don't
have a
put candy
candy bar
bars.
lane at the checkout.
If
Yeah,
if
kid
you were to
hype.
buy a quarter of a beef from me, you're not going to the grocery store to get your meat and walk by the chip aisle or the
Processed cereals
Processed,
or-
you've already got your meat at home, so that's that's
$28 a day.
$28 a day.
I've got. I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play a devil's advocate here. That
$10,000. You know how much $10,000 is
Well,
to me?
It's this
$10,000
investment.
would pay my tractor.
yeah,
off.
but this one's a tricky one, because it goes beyond that economic model that you're talking about. I don't know whether I should do it.
$10,000. I'm taking my family on vacation in Las Vegas.
However,
Twice.
well,
Yeah.
I see where you're going.
I'm
with
planting.
that.
I'm planting.
$9,300
I'm
to
planting a
savings.
fruit
Yeah,
orchard.
yeah.
If
97.
97. Yeah.
if you take that model, and as far as the federal bank, and I say federal with a lowercase f,
Nice work
that's a
around
snarky comment, by the
there. Nice
way.
work around there.
That's a snarky comment. That's also a snarky comment directed at someone who accuses us of making snarky comments. If you take that dollar amount and the relocation of those funds, that's a pretty disturbing issue that the Treasury is trying to curtail. Because when you see money going out of the country in dollar amounts to that extent, which is what we're talking about, for the betterment of Mexico, Honduras, Guatemala, these people that come here and earn these dollars, when you consider the amount of money that they send out of the country, that's an economic drain without tax complications, and I despise those people.
You're doing so well.
Oh, I'm doing so
So
well.
proud of you.
Thank you so much. But when you consider the equation behind that, and we're talking about financial drain on international economy, that isn't necessarily a very healthy thing that we should be encouraging.
Yeah.
Well, it's not.
Well, it when you pay your tax dollars, right, to support the economy as a tax-paying person, I'm on the verge of contradicting myself, and I am well aware of the hole that I'm in. But when you send those funds back, I'll make the assumption, as an illegal immigrant, oh dear, here we go. As an illegal immigrant, you're now earning those dollars, you're sending them back. What you're doing is a massive economic drain on the financial dollar.
Oh yeah, billions.
And it's to the tune of billions. And you're not receiving the benefit of the taxable income.
But you are.
Well, maybe you're not. It's very complicated. And I'm just saying, I think it looks like a fantastic plan that the folks come up from Central or Southern America.
You mean like Alabama?
And they're earning themselves a very well earned income, but they're sending it directly south.
Yeah.
But now, if there was a taxable income element to that, I think we'd be pretty good about it.
Yeah. Now, with that being
Well,
said,
let me. I'm gonna play devil's advocate with you then.
Yeah,
How many
So,
devils we got in this room?
lots.
so, how much does and you know I'm going out on a limb here somewhat, but how much does the American people then owe the citizens of Mexico because we have not allowed them to be able to make their own living on their own property because of our free trade agreement?
Ooh,
You see?
that's a valid point.
Because that's my argument with farm programs. Okay, because farm programs now, I got a love-hate relationship with them things. You know, I really don't want to participate in them.
That's where I'm at.
However, you know, when I look at the last 75 years of farm policy and what it has gained us, and how we have this cheap food policy that makes me essentially, people want me to be a slave to them because it's too expensive. You shouldn't, because like Jonah said, they expect the farmer not to make anything. Then and whenever we get into international skirmish of some kind, agriculture restrictions is the first one to go because we're the largest exporting nation in the world.
Yep.
So how much do they owe me for the fact that they use me as a guinea pig?
That's
You
a very
see?
valid point.
So
That's a very valid point.
We begin to argue about values, about the value of this versus the value of that.
Do y'all want to sit next to each other?
Can we hug? I'm about to get something fall on my head, I believe.
Yeah.
And I'm just moving forward before it collapses.
Well, and you know, and it goes to a bigger point too. And I know everybody sitting in this room has probably worked with or dealt with, you know, immigrants that has come up here and worked in this country. I worked for Dave many, many years ago. I'm talking 25 years ago. Hector, Marcelino, all them boys. You know, I worked with them when they were brand new. I do not, and I'm sure everybody in this room, I do not fault anybody that wants to come into this country and make a better life for themselves and trying to help their families benefit.
Bravo to them.
In the same token,
I agree.
In the same token, we
Being
get called
the immigrant.
racist, bigots, and all this kind of stuff because we have certain beliefs or certain views on border security and this and this and this. Look, I don't have a problem with anybody who wants to come in this country and make a better life for themselves. What I have a problem with is the people coming across the border that have no intentions of working, that have every intention of just taking tax dollars and off the welfare system and
and bringing in fentanyl.
Exactly. Those are the issues we have. And for some reason, the people who consider themselves progressives can't grasp that thing because at the end of the day, those are the real racists because they've mentioned it time and time and time and time again. Ozzy Osbourne's daughter, whatever that fat chick's name is, she said, well, who's going to clean your toilets and watch your kids? Is that what you think immigrants are for?
Yeah.
I mean, that is, like that. She said, well, those are the real, like, terrible people in this country. Like, I don't care if anybody wants to come up here and make a better life for themselves. Just adhere to the, just assimilate, adhere to the rules that we have here. And I don't care really what you do because if we were in a better system, it really wouldn't matter. It really wouldn't matter. But unfortunately, we live in the system we're in, and these racist assholes, who are actually the progressives, think that these people are up here just to clean their toilets and just to clean their houses. And that's not what they're up here for. We can all work together with them, but yet we get called the racists and bigots and things like this. And those are things like that we need to to make people understand, so you can step up and tell these progressives to shut the F up. That's the biggest thing in the world, is to tell these people who, and it goes beyond that as well. It goes beyond, they're pushing all the things we've talked about here tonight. They're pushing for these organic meats and these impossible burgers and this cloned meat, because they're idiots, because they have no education, despite 8 years of formal education, so they say. They are the biggest bunch of morons on the planet, and they make us out to be a bunch of rubes, but given the opportunity to sit in front of us and debate our ideas, they turn at every single opportunity, and they will not do it, with the exception of a handful of people. The only people that have ever come on this show before was Simon and I, or Brian and Darnell, who disagreed with us. You know, we had a great conversation, and we'll have conversations like that again. Other than that,
I'm gonna end this rabbit trail with. I would much rather take a Hispanic man that come from Mexico here to work and provide for his money and work with him than I would an entitled butthole out of high school.
there you go.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Because
Well
he
spoken.
understands my value and I understand his value, and at the end of the day, we're here to support our families.
It's about humanity.
And I fought him none. Matter of fact, I admire him for having the guts to apply for an application, come up here and work his butt off and expect nothing other than a paycheck to send home to his family.
To protect and provide for the family unit that he has.
That's right.
Which is something that America's not too keen on.
That's right.
No, well, not
And at the end of the
as
day,
media would allow you to believe, but I
That's
think
right.
most of us actually have those values.
Sure.
And to circle back around, because we got to end this show. We've been here way too long. I know people got places to go. But at the end that's what it's all about. It's a fact that 70 to 80% of us in this country actually do have those values. A big, huge chunk of people in this country have those values, who do appreciate what the good Lord has given for us.
It's
But
those
we are
15 and 20%.
we are being outspoken because of algorithms on the internet, because of media, because of even down to the media in Roanoke, who just regurgitate the garbage that's coming from Richmond. It's regurgitating the garbage coming from D.C., and it makes you think that they have the advantage. They don't. They do not have the advantage. We have the advantage. People in this room, people like-minded of people in this room, people who want to support local, people who are tired of the nonsense, people who believe in the good Lord, people who want to see a betterment of our community. We are in the majority, but you were led to believe that you were not, because you were silenced on social media, because you were silenced in the media. Stand up. And one way you can stand up, aside from violence, is to go support, is to go down there. You go down to Burnt Chimney. If you're within listening distance of this show, and we'll say we're in Rocky Mount, Virginia, if you're within 30 miles of this show, if you go down to Burnt Chimney, Virginia, and you go down there once a month, you can swing by Melvins Farm to Fork. You can swing by the Homestead Creamery store, or you can swing by Boone's Country Store and get almost everything you need in
Becker's
one day.
Produce, the Alpaca Farm. There's so many local stops. The Growing Place. You can do so many things within just a 3-mile radius.
Yes, absolutely.
We're gonna put a directory together that allows people to make educated choices.
Which is funny coming from Simon, because he got a little protrude about a comment he saw recently on Facebook. You remember that one?
Go on.
Well, somebody asked me, they said, well, do you have a list compiled about all these places we can go to? And you sent me a message. You said, why in the world would somebody send that kind of message instead of going out there and doing the research on their own? And I said, well, you know what?
well,
That's where we come in. We've
got to hand feed people to make this happen.
It's not necessarily hand feed, but they make it difficult to find, and that is our responsibility at this point in time. By starting this podcast, by joining this podcast, by becoming my trusty and I even hate saying co-host, because Simon is every bit as good as a host as I am. But by joining this, we now have a responsibility.
I love you, Billy.
We have a responsibility to tell people, they're coming to us for these answers. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you get a little bit irritated, protrude by some of the comments and things like that, but it's coming from a place of not malice. It's coming from a place of ignorance, and it's not to their own fault. It's just because they have been conditioned to not have to worry about those kind of things. But now they're coming around and they're saying, hey, it's time to worry about these kind of things. It's time to worry about what we're giving our children, what our children are eating, what our family is eating.
It's time to get our shit together.
It is time to get our shit together. Sorry for everybody out, my mama listening.
That goes back to what Thad said, though. It shouldn't be your responsibility. We're the number one county producing county in agriculture and milk. In how many miles? And what kind of radius?
Say it, Chris.
Yeah, a long way.
Say it out loud.
Our county should have a website that if you want to research where can I find local meat, that should be that should be on there, and it should have a list of every farmer and Tom, Dick, and Harry that produces a milk, a meat, a veggie, whatever it is. You should be able to hit your Google button. Now, granted, some of it may be controversial, but you should be able to hit your Google button and say, find local meat near me, and it should pop up Foggy Ridge, Mitchell Meats, Melvins
Foothills Cattle.
I want.
Big Wave
What is
Farm.
Amos's?
I want hog meat.
God, I'm sorry, Amos.
Castle Hill.
Paso Hill. I want.
Let's put
Well,
it
no, they
together.
put all their effort,
I know,
money into the
but-
harvester.
and so
though. Come
and
on.
so to Wednesday night, the board of supervisors has instated the ag board for Franklin County.
You're damn straight.
They have reinstated it, and they have a meeting Wednesday night,
Which Wednesday?
this Wednesday.
So
Right, be 2
last
days.
year at some point it snowed, and all day long there was a picture that kept circulating through my feed on Facebook of an empty meat case here in Franklin County. And it perturbed me all day long, but I couldn't really decide how I felt about it. Was I angry that there was no meat? Was I sad that there was no meat? And finally, I just was confused because with as many local sources as there are for food in this county, why are we circulating this meme? Why aren't we circulating the names of local businesses who can feed you? And so I just began this small list and listed a couple people that were doing things, different farms and different producers in the county. And the people in this county that were accustomed to that or who were able to see that post began to add other places in Franklin County where you could get those things. And there became this very long list that began to circulate around because we can feed this county.
Absolutely.
And I made the comment about using the Summit View for a processing plant. Where I was going with that was out west somewhere. There was a shortage of meat. I think it was a Kroger, it was a local Kroger, and they're surrounded by piles of beef farmers, and they come up with a program with the farmers to give them a better price for their meat and to truly serve locally grown beef out of their Kroger store.
In California?
No, it was out west. I don't remember what state it was, but so the farmers come together as a co-op, and were able, and every farmer was able to throw in X amount of cattle to meet the orders of what they were going through every month or whatever. And they are partnered up with their local Kroger, serving local beef raised 30 miles apart.
And we can have that.
And we can do that
here.
in this county right here. There is enough beef farmers to supply everybody in Franklin County quality, fresh meat.
And it doesn't have to be in one location. Like,
No.
I know with you all at Melvins Farm to Fork, if you go support that place enough, at some point in time, they might end up expanding and say, well, hey, you know what? We're going to bring this meat in here. We're going to bring this farmer because they don't have the time
They've
to operate a
already done
store.
it.
Yeah, we don't have the time to operate a store. Philip Baines trying to put a Farm to Fork store in the bottom of his hotel in downtown Rocky Mount where you can go if you don't have to drive all the way. And I'm hoping you guys can get in touch with him and put your meat in there too so people don't have to drive all the way to Burnt Chimney maybe if they're coming from Ferrum. You know what I mean? Like you can have multiple stores in this county that sell multiple farmers produce, multiple farmers meat, things of this nature, and we can all work together and make that kind of thing happen. But you have to start somewhere, and starting somewhere is stop going to Walmart and sending your money to Bentonville, Arkansas. Stop going to Kroger and sending your money to God knows wherever in the hell Kroger's at. Stop going to Food Line. Go to these local places, and you know what? Make their shelves empty and bare. That way, they start adding more to their list. That way, Foothills Cattle, my buddies Jacob and Hunter Neff and Matt Hubbard and them and all those guys, they end up going to the Kroger parking lot in Roanoke and opening up the trunk of their car, and they sell meat right out of the trunk of their car. And most of the days, they end up selling out. Well, you know what? Save them that 8 hours a day and send that down to y'all's store. Send it to a store in Rocky Mount. You know what I mean? Like make it easier on your neighbors. If you make it easier on your neighbors, then you have more time to enjoy life and appreciate your family, appreciate your friends, enjoy yourself. But you have to start somewhere. Start at Melvins Farm to Fork.
I think at the end of the day, with myself and Jonah and Thad and Gayle and Simon, we want our community, huh? Because you're not a farmer of any sort other than BS.
I grew up on a farm.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, and Billy,
thank you.
What we're trying to say,
I'm trying to get back in that direction. That's why I hang out with you. I want you to show me the way.
Well, you don't want to follow me. You better follow Thad. He is the dumbest man in the room after all. Sorry, Gayle. What we're trying to say is, like Gayle said, we're not competition. Mm-mm. We're not. If you're listening to this podcast and you live close to Mitchell Meats or Lazy Acre Farms or Feazell Farms, I'm not sure what all he provides.
Brian's got the best.
But what I'm telling you is, we are farmers who enjoy producing a quality animal or product for the end consumer, which is you people listening to this podcast, and your families. And there is a wealth of knowledge, not just in this room, but throughout the county with farmers. We're here to provide goods that God provided us with. And we want y'all to enjoy that. Yes, the prices do look steep, but like it's been said many a times, that money is turned right around and spent right here in the county to keep other businesses afloat.
And it's an investment into your future.
I was going to say, if your nutrition is higher, you don't need as much. That's what a doctor friend of mine said.
That's right.
If you have better nutritious food, you don't need to eat as much, and you won't have an appetite because guess what? Your body's getting what it needs.
Yeah, I think I'd just like to finish. I'm going to start listing some local businesses that you can support in Franklin County, and you guys can fill in some more if I forget them. We won't go on very long, but just quickly.
No, go for it.
Foggy
Absolutely.
Ridge.
She's beating you to the
Mitchell
punch,
Meats,
Simon.
Big Way Farm, Mountain View Country Store, New Dawn Acres, Boone's Country Store, Homestead Creamery, Pacabella, Jason and Cheryl Bondurant, Johnny and Melody Divers, Woods Farms, Chuck Hutto, Rabbit Head Farms, Liz and Cricker Brooks, Porterfield Run, Jerry Connor, Four Oaks Farms, Truman Hill, Lazy Acres, Ferrum Chicken Lady, KC Farms, Exchange Milling Company, Daniel Austin, Manning Brothers Beef, Redwood Community Market. I mean, y'all.
Foothills. You named about every one I would probably name.
Foothills Produce. Yeah.
The point is that there are so many. You do not have to drive across Franklin County to get what you need. It's a big county.
All you got to do is make a phone call.
Yeah.
Probably look to your right or your left, and you will find somebody not very far away.
Folks, make the right choice. Make the right decision. Put the right stuff in your body.
For your sake, for your health's sake, for your family's
your kids'
health's sake.
Do the right thing. Get away from being poisoned. I'm not trying to preach to the choir. Get out there, support your local producers,
and tell a
support your
friend.
local farmers. Sell it to a friend.
Yeah.
know.
Like he said, person left and right of you. Tell the person left and right of you. Say, hey, go down here and get this meat.
We
Go down
can
here and get
do this.
produce.
We can do this, folks.
We have to do this because as it stands right now, if we don't, we are staring down the barrel of a 45 right now.
Yep.
And if we don't do something, then our future is very, very bleak.
We've got our head in Simon's cannon.
Absolutely. And it's about to get fired off by some redcoat
Oh, roger that.
heading over the fence to some Frenchies.
Hey, but just as another example, listening to Gayle read off all those names, it made me think of something. I got another very close fan. Their family is going through something that I can't even begin to imagine. And something me and my brother-in-law has done since we've done it for the past 3 years. We started out by donating a half to Lucille Bowman, who works with a lot of people who are in needs, or are in need of, help with meat, eggs, and other things. And the last 2 years, we've donated we donated some to Lucille, but we have found some either customers of ours that are going through a tough time, or friends of those customers. And last year we donated to a quarter to a man whose daughter in 2 months racked up $30,000 in medical bills. And this year we donated to they've become like family. And she didn't have enough freezer space to put what we were donating to her. So she hauled some of her hamburger down to the lady she works with. Simon, you'll know who I'm talking about. And talk about quality. So she gets a phone call a couple hours later, and she's like, the lady on the other line, she was like, we want the number of whoever's supplying you with meat. We patted out hamburgers, and the hamburgers come off the grill the same size as they went on, and they just the taste, the quality, it's nothing like what you get at the grocery store. And that's now that beef I produce, but that's going to be the exact same way with Melvins Farm to Fork. It's going to be the exact same way with everybody else out there that's producing a quality beef. You will recognize quality if you will just try it. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't force him to drink.
On that note, I think we're going to put this one to an end, because honestly, we could probably sit here for another 3 hours and continue to talk.
No, but you got farmers. We're getting tired.
I know we could. I know we could. Before we get off here, though, I know, Simon, I think this podcast is quickly becoming a refuge for former German Baptist individuals to come on here and find a place. So I know Chris has been phenomenal every time he's come on this show. Amos has been phenomenal every time he's come on this show. I know Thad's got, ties to the church as well. If you're out there and you're in a German Baptist church and you have left the church and you want a home, come on this show and let's talk some things. My stepdad was in the church for the longest time. We've got a great connection. Same thing with Amos, who's best man at my wedding. This is a place to come.
I thought he was a preacher at your wedding.
No, that was other people. I think that was Fuzz.
Oh.
No, I didn't have him. I had my old pastor from when I grew up, Jackie Spence was. No. But Amos was one of the best men at my wedding. I didn't have a best man or groomsman. I had 4 best men, which was my stepdad Amos, my brother, and Craig. So if you're a German Baptist refugee and you need somewhere to come and tell your stories, this is the place to come. Because Chris has been phenomenal. I love having him on. Thad, Gayle, Jonah, everybody that we've brought on here tonight has phenomenal stories. Very intelligent, But they fit so well, and the message we're getting out here, it can't be topped. You're not going to find this on any other show in this country. You're not going to find more real people in the entire country, and I stand behind that. So we're going to do this show again at some point in time because we got a lot more to cover. But
The next time we do it, we will have a printout analysis of store bought versus farm bought.
store bought versus farm bought.
That's a good idea. I like that.
We can do that, and we'll do it again here in a few months. I mean, we gotta let the people yearn for more, and
Soak it up.
and yearn for a little bit more. So, Gayle, Thad, one more time, give you the address of the Melvins Farm to Fork store so they can go down there and sample your meat.
Sure. We're at 1120 Peters Pike Road, Wirtz, Virginia. We're open Wednesday through Friday, 11 to 4, and Saturdays 10 to 2 each week.
And they're on Facebook, so you can go on there. You can send them a message there. You can give them a phone call. You got anything to shout out, Jonah?
Not really. Not at the moment.
Give your farm name and what you got. Because I know you got something coming.
Yeah, my brother actually has Passel Hills Farm, so American Guinea Hogs. And then I'm trying to get into more of the bigger feeder hogs. So working that way. So starting out, but we're growing.
And for Chris, Foggy Ridge Farms.
Foggy Ridge Cattle Company, 540-598-6928.
Support these people. Support local. Simon, you got anything else to say before I sign us off? Because this was your episode. This is one you have pushed for. And I think you did a phenomenal job in pushing for this one because it's been fun, but it's been informative. And that's a rare combination.
That's what we got to put together. You know what I
People
mean?
need to understand this is fun. This is supporting the community is a great idea. And to be able to sit here with people and have this kind of fun and knowing we didn't even scratch the surface, knowing that there's so much more to talk about in the future, knowing to bring them back on here. Look, go down there, support these people, rewind, go back 10 minutes, listen to every single business that Gayle read off here, and then research your own and find more. Put Kroger out of business. Put Walmart out of business. Make them start finding ways and make them force their hand to start reinvesting back into this community because they figure out they're not going to survive unless they put back in this community. Fine. I don't care if you exist.
I don't want them in this community.
I don't either. But if you're going to exist here, force their hand.
Earn it.
Earn it. Stop sending your money elsewhere.
Absolutely earn it.
So for everybody that's been mentioned on the show, I also want to shout out, I know at the end of the last show, I mentioned some of the people that have supported us down the line. I forgot a couple of them, but, Foster's General Store, if you're into that, if you like smoking the wacky tobacco, go over there, meet them, say hello, get some seeds, figure out what they got going on. That's right there in Rocky Mount. They got the Peace of Mind private lounge. If you want to go somewhere and hang out and smoke the wacky tobacco, if that's the kind of thing you're into, look, they support this show as well.
You said it wrong. You said peace of mind. It's peace of mind.
Peace O Mind. Yes, Peace O Mind. You can find them on Facebook as well. It's a private lounge where you can go in there. You can use their devices. You can hang out. It's a good time. Go support them. Lawn Work Solutions, Brad Kennett, he's a big supporter of this show. Amos didn't.
Love Brad.
But yes. And I'm going to tell you what, he will turn your yard into a paradise. Blackwater Building and Custom Woodworking with Amos. If you want to take a piece of wood you find in the woods and make him turn it into a snake cane, take it up at Amos. He will do something like that for you. Long Trucking. All these people that have supported us, all the people that have given us their time, their effort, thank you.
All the folks around here have been godly people.
All the folks around here have been godly people. And if you
Thank you.
And if you want to support this show, you can go to patreon.com/getontap for $3 a month. You will get a weekly show. We haven't been weekly here the last couple of weeks. It has been the holidays. We're going to get back on track. Where Simon and I will go on there, and it is uncut and uncensored.
Sorry about the language.
We will.
You did so well tonight.
We will gripe about things that you want to hear about, and even if you don't listen to it on there, even if you don't, $3 a month is all we're asking. That's supporting us. That's money that's going back, and we're reinvesting it back into the community. So we
Well,
appreciate
it's advertising and Facebook costs and all that.
exactly. That's
all
what
that
it
good
is.
stuff.
Because
It doesn't go in our pocket.
I honestly, I spend somewhere around like
Who cares?
I probably spend $300, $400 a month on Facebook advertising because I want people to look at this area and say this is the area that I want my hometown to be like.
Yeah.
I want Franklin County to be a model for how the rest of the country, because if we lead the way here, then we can worry about the counties beside us leading the way, and then we can get away from Richmond and D.C. and New York City.
From
and
small
LA.
acorns, growth, rather large oak trees.
Absolutely.
I actually muted myself on that.
So
Big oak trees.
patreon.com/GetOnTap. That's a way to support us. We certainly appreciate everybody. Go down and check Melvins Farm to Fork. Check out everybody we've talked about on here today. We will have you ladies and gentlemen back at some point in time. I know we will. So thank you very, very, very much for coming on here. I'm guessing it's going to be a 2-part show because we are 3 hours and 41 minutes into this podcast. So,
And we love it.
and we love it. I know Gayle has just, we apologize for wasting so much of your time, but you all have been so very informative. And
Smartest lady on the planet.
And the small sacrifices y'all have made here tonight are going to probably, I mean, if you just change one life on this show, it's well worth it. If it just saves one life, right?
That's
Thank you
what we
all
got.
very much. We'll see you next time.
They're gonna get a new nickname called the Smart Man.
Yeah.